President Biden is commuting the federal sentences of 37 of the 40 people on death row. Their punishments will be converted to life in prison. I'll read that again, so maybe without the nasty ass hack. Princess, you'll appreciate this when it's time to edit. President Biden is commuting the federal sentences of 37 of the 40 people currently on death row. Their punishments will be converted to life in prison. The three men whose lives won't be spared are Dzhokhar Zarmiev, that's the Boston Marathon bomber if you didn't know, Robert Bowers, the murderer of 11 at the Tree of Life Synagogue, and Dylann Roof, the murderer of 9 Black members of Emmanuel AME Church. I'll get back to them in a minute because I actually think they should also be spared. But Biden's move comes less than a month before Donald Trump is set to take office. Now, Donald Trump has been vocal, very, very vocal, about his support for capital punishment. And he said that he was going to move very quickly on the executions of the remaining people on death row, of all the people on death row, 40 of them. During his first term, Donald Trump put 13 people to death. So he's very clearly not playing with this. Some cases he took to the Supreme Court to defeat their final appeals. It's not just that he's killing people and allowing people to be executed, is that he's working hard to make sure that they get executed. Now, the reaction to these commutations has been mixed. Lawmakers, the victims' families, people are like, why are you doing this? I get it, right? People feel very strongly about a lot of things. And Biden was very clear about that. He said that he condemns the murderers and he grieves for the families, but he is, quote, more convinced than ever that we must stop the use of the death penalty on the federal level. He also added that he cannot in good conscience allow Trump to resume executions that his administration put in a moratorium on 2021. I got a couple of thoughts about this. First of all, we got to give credit where credit is due. Joe Biden didn't have to pardon any of them or commute any of them. So thank you. Now, I'm not going to expend too much energy kissing Joe Biden's butt on this. Joe Biden is one of the most criminalizing presidents we've had in American history. For every person whose life he spares, he is responsible for hundreds of them being incarcerated in the first place. Not always death penalty, but certainly life. And he has spent much of his career in his life advocating for the death penalty. So let's not pretend that Joe Biden is some hero here. He's undoing a tiny bit of the awful work that he has done. It's a little bit of undoing for a whole lot of doing. So again, we are not giving let's not give him too much credit. But he says we shouldn't use the death penalty at the federal level. Interesting distinction, right? He's saying that so that he can critique the death penalty, but still, not disrupt too many people at the state level who say, hey, keep killing them. Why should we use the death penalty at the state level, Joe? I'd love to hear your explanation for that. But if we're saying it's a moral issue, if we're saying that you can't execute people, we shouldn't execute people at the federal level, why are you sparing these 3 people? Are their crimes so much more heinous than the other 37 people? No. Some are worse than others. Some have more bodies than others. I'm not saying everyone is the same. But at the core here, if you're saying that the government shouldn't kill people, then is what Dylann Roof and Robert Bowers and Dzhokhar Zarmiev, all of whom did awful things, is it fundamentally different than the other 37 people? No, it's bad public relations. This is not about death penalty. This is about public relations. Dylann Roof is a monster. Robert Bowers is a monster. Dzhokhar Zarmiev is a monster. If you're saying a monster is someone who kills lots of people, but so did other people on death row. The problem is the Boston Marathon bomber got a lot of media attention. Dylann Roof got a lot of media attention. He walked into a Black church and killed 9 saints while they were praying. Robert Bowers killed 11 people inside of a synagogue. The whole country, the whole world knew. So if he were to end the death sentence for those 3 people, it would look bad on his legacy. But there's no moral consistency or through line here that makes this make sense. So I say President Biden, pardon them all. The death penalty is not something this country should be engaged in. We don't have the moral authority. This country does not have the moral authority to kill people. Number two, it doesn't stop people from killing people. The whole idea is that this would stop people from killing people, that it would dissuade people from killing people. It's not preventative at all. And number three, we get it wrong too much. This country kills a lot of people who shouldn't be killed. We find people guilty all the time who are actually innocent. So in light of that, maybe we shouldn't kill them. Now, again, Dylann Roof, Robert Bowers, Zohar Samiev, there's no doubt they did it. No doubt at all. But they're not alone in that. So again, there has to be a moral consistency here. I'm glad Joe Biden stayed the executions or commuted the sentences of the other 37. But I don't know. I'm not happy about this choice. We need some consistency. Bill the Bunny says no country has a moral authority to kill people. I don't disagree as a practical matter. No, there's no nation state, I'll say that has the authority to kill people. There's no country in this world right now that has the authority to kill people. That's why no one should be using the death penalty. I don't mean to suggest that other countries have more moral authority than the United States to kill people. I'm just only worried about the United States at this moment as a matter of public policy. But yeah, there's no country. It's not going to go Sweden should be executing people, or Russia should be executing people, or Nicaragua should be executing. Nobody should execute people. I agree with you. We got to figure something else about that, because that ain't the way to go.